pulled up Google Maps here so you can see the location of the listing in Texas. Here's her profile. Let's just take a look at the listing right now. So what I've done is I've actually I found her listing in the search results. It's always good to have a look at what that looks like. So I've kind of zoomed in on her area in order to find her listing. And so here we have 33 homes. And when we scroll down, we can see Eileen's listing here. It's called Cozy Getaway, Private Bath and Patio, Airport, less than 10 minutes. Now, the first thing that you probably notice is that her picture it's a vertical picture and it doesn't cover the whole space of this frame here. And the first thing you really want to ask yourself when you're looking at your Airbnb listing is, when people search for it, how is it going to show up, right? If I was somebody if I had to stay near the airport in San Antonio, I'd be looking at these search results and I'd ask myself the question, which of these listings look most attractive? Well, first of all, because I think most people are probably going to stay or place over just one night because they have a flight the next day. And so, you got to ask yourself, what's the most important part of the stay of that type of visitor? And in my opinion, that's the bedroom, right? You want to have a comfortable bed, a good night of sleep. You probably don't really care too much about the neighborhood and all the things you can do there, and other things that the house has to offer. My first concern is, I want to sleep well, especially if I have a long flight the next day. I just want to have a really good night of sleep. I want a quiet place, comfortable bed, preferably a room where in the morning the light doesn't shine into the room when the sun rises. Stuff like that is what I'd be looking at. So when you scroll down here, I would say this kind of looks attractive. It's a good picture. Nice bed. This one is kind of okay. So this doesn't show the bed, so I don't really care about the fireplace. I just want to make sure I have a good night's sleep. And it's really cool that there's a cat, but so this listing, I would suggest there's not even a picture of the bed. So, but anyway, there's a dog. This picture is not that great because you can see only part of the bed. This picture is not very good because it's a vertical picture. It's kind of dark. I would say if I scroll through here, this looks really good, right? A lot of light in the picture. It clearly shows the entire bed, so I know what I'm getting into. This looks alright, but the bed looks just too small. This picture is a little dark. So it's good to go through these search results because then you also know what the competition is doing. Now, to be really honest, I probably wouldn't select Eileen's place based on this, just because her first picture just shows something that it's not really something that I'd be looking for. I guess it shows her patio, and if you look really carefully, you can see that it's probably like a little table and a chair or something. I guess her idea is to show people that she has a nice little area where you can have coffee outside in the morning. But my first concern is really the bed, so I would be looking for that. And the second picture does show the bed, but it's like it doesn't show the entire bed. Again, it's a vertical picture. It would display much better if you would have a picture like this, for example, where you can see the entire bed. Anyway, let's just go into the listing. I think the title is pretty good because it has a lot of information. Cozy Getaway, private bath, patio, close to the airport. If she uses the stars, she may have read my blog post about that or an email that I sent, because I recommend that, because if you look at the title does stand out, right? If you see the little stars and stuff, that kind of catches the attention. So that's good. Free cancellation. That's good. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? All right. So as you can see, Airbnb has actually recently updated um, the first sort of the front of the listing. It used to be just one picture, and now they have the main picture plus the first four. I'm assuming it's the first four. Again, it'd be nicer if now here in this picture you can actually see the chairs and the little table, which is why I think she chose this particular picture as the first one. But again, I think that's not a very good picture to put on as your featured image. So you can see in the caption she writes private patio for morning coffee. So that's why she took this picture. So if you want to showcase the fact that you can have coffee on the patio in the morning, what I would do is I would take a picture of that little table, maybe even with two people sitting there actually having coffee. And I think that's a nice little add-on to the listing, but it's not really the most important thing. The most important thing is really the bedroom, right? This picture, again, it's vertical, so it doesn't display very well. This doesn't really add too much value. This is actually a pretty good picture, because this picture shows almost the entire bed. In this picture, you can see, okay, what's the sleeping arrangement? You can see that there's a little TV. So I would say pick this one as the first picture, but I think she can probably get a better picture, because it's you want to get a little bit more light in the room. Right now, you can see a lot of the light is coming from outside, and it's kind of super bright. If you open the curtains, I would open the curtains more. That way you might be able to get a bit more light in. Or even like get a few lamps from the living room and just lighten up the space. Because as you can see in the search results, right, when the picture is light, it just looks more attractive, right? Like this picture, even though it doesn't show the entire bed, but it's, because it's light, it looks more attractive, right? It's the same as this one. You can see there's a couple lights on here. So, all right, let's go through the rest of the photos. Okay, so here's a better photo of the patio, because here you can actually see what you can do. In the other picture, what kind of stands out is more the trees. And so when I first looked at it, I was a little confused. I was like, what am I looking at? Like, why am I looking at this? But let's scroll through the picture. So here's a picture of the living room. This is a nice picture. That's one that I would probably pull more to the front. The hallway. This is a nice picture too. One suggestion that I have for Eileen as well is she could use her captions better. And so instead of just saying large kitchen and bar, I would take the opportunity and write in the caption if the guest can use the kitchen, right? Because it's a private room, and so some things are shared, some things aren't. Now I don't know if she allows the guest to use the kitchen, but this would be a good place to let the guests know. So if you allow your guests to use the kitchen, then I would write something about what they can do in the kitchen, right? I would write something like the guests are free to use the kitchen, and we have everything that you would need to prepare yourself a nice meal or make yourself a nice breakfast in the morning. And then I would probably also, I would write if the guests, if there's free coffee and tea available, if there's anything else available to them that relates to the kitchen, because this way you can provide a lot of information. Because people typically aren't going to read the whole description. The way that people find their Airbnb spot is they're just going to go through a bunch of pictures of several listings, right? That's how people search for listings. And so that they're probably going to look at these pictures, especially the first 5 or 6. And so you really want to use the captions to provide as much information as possible. So the next picture and the following ones, because I already had a sneak peek before, these are all pictures about activities that you can do. Some pictures don't have a caption. Like this one doesn't have a caption. It shows two ladies. I'm assuming one of them is Eileen. This is another picture where I'm not quite sure, why it's there. But I think if you put a picture up and you should have a purpose, right? It should convey some information. And so from this picture, it's not completely clear to me. Is maybe this is an Airbnb guest that she hosted, that she went out with. I don't know, but I would mention that in the caption, because otherwise, people just don't really know, what they're looking at, why they're looking at it. This is a cool picture as well, but without the caption, I really have no idea what it is. So she puts a lot of pictures, and I'm assuming this is Eileen. She puts a lot of pictures of the neighborhood, which is a good idea if people are staying at your place with the intention of exploring the neighborhood, doing activities in the neighborhood. And like I said before, when we talked about her audience, I'm assuming that's probably not what people want to do. But I could be wrong. Maybe her area is very popular amongst tourists, and maybe she does get people that stay for multiple days and actually go out and explore the area. And this picture here kind of looks pretty touristy. So maybe this is it kind of looks like Venice almost. But it definitely looks interesting. So maybe people will stay at her place to go visit this place. But in general, you really want to put your most attractive pictures first. And so if we scroll back to picture number 1, I would definitely remove this one. It could be at the very end maybe. I would put this picture as the first one, because this clearly shows, what the main purpose for what the guest is going to be doing is sleeping, right? So you want to put this picture first, then put a few more pictures of the bedroom probably, or maybe just one, or maybe just 2 or 3, I'd say. But you want to have a picture that adds some extra information. Then I would probably show this one, but I would zoom in a little bit more, and preferably have to put a picture with 2 people actually drinking coffee. And then also in the caption, you want to clearly communicate that, right? So in the caption, you want to write something like, enjoy an early morning breakfast or early morning coffee before you catch your flight, or something like that, to just describe the experience that people can have. The next picture, this is a good picture, so I would put this one in the top 5 or 6. This picture I would definitely put in there too. And again, when you put the picture of the living room, tell people if they can use it, and describe, for example, this fireplace, that could be pretty cool. Have a glass of whiskey in the evening and enjoy the fireplace and have an interesting conversation. I don't know if she interacts with the guests, and if that's kind of what she does with her guests. But if she does, then that would be a great thing to mention in the caption. Again, the kitchen. And then, if people do visit for these attractions, then definitely put a few pictures out there. But what I would do is, I think the proximity to the airport is one of the good things about her listing. So what I would do, I would go on Google Maps and actually map out the distance to the airport, so that people can actually see exactly how long it takes to get to the airport, right? Which you can easily do in Google Maps, right? So let's say, I don't know exactly where her listing is, but I'm just going to take McAllister Park. So if I put International Airport, I'd take a screenshot of this, and use that as a picture, because then people can clearly see, oh, okay, it's a 14-minute ride to the airport. So now they know, okay, if my flight's at 8 o'clock, I want to be there 2 hours in advance at 6, so I'm leaving at 5:45, and it should be fine. And then I don't know if there's public transport. I know Texas is probably doesn't have the best public transport system in the world. I would assume people love their cars over there. That's what I know. But yeah, like and there's other things, right? If there's some attractions, you want to figure out like why people come. I don't know if people come for this Morgan's Wonderland thing, but if so, I would also put a screenshot of the distance. Wi-Fi speed. If people are coming and they're traveling, they definitely want to use the Wi-Fi. So I would put a screenshot of a speed test. And there's a bunch of other pictures that you could add, but I think these are kind of like the most important adjustments that I would make. As far as the description, I think the description is just, it's not that important because people really select the place to stay according to the pictures. You just want to make sure that all the information is in there. Let's scroll down. Lots of amenities. Seems she has a lot of space open. It doesn't look like she has a lot of bookings coming up. She's got 7 reviews. Looks like she's getting good reviews. Now, when you look in the reviews, there's a lot of information out there. Like one thing, for example, that wasn't clear from the pictures, that is really important, and I would probably write this in, the second or the third picture, is it has its own entrance. This person in the review says, a great quiet place to hang out if you're visiting San Antonio. The separate entrance made it very easy if you have to leave early or stay out late. Now that's really good. I really want to know that it has a separate entrance. Also, it's quiet. This is a great review. So what I would do is I would copy this and I would add this review as the caption on one of the first pictures, because that's very attractive. But the fact that it has its own entrance, I think, is really important. I think there's guests that like their privacy, and they don't necessarily want to have a lot of interaction with the host, and the idea that they can show up and there's a lockbox and they can just check into their room without even having to meet the host. For certain people, that can be really attractive. So I would really communicate that using the pictures. Now, from the reviews, I can also see that one person stayed for 3 months. So maybe that's kind of her audience too, people that need to be in town for a longer time. I did also read that there was a bunch of people that I think came for one night. So those, I think, like this person, I stayed here for just one night, looking for some quiet time, and unfortunately I couldn't get it. The house was busy in the morning. Room itself is great. So it's interesting. This person thought it was not quiet. The other person thought it was quiet. Everybody says that Eileen is a great host. So I'm sure she's doing a really good job in terms of, the hospitality aspect of the Airbnb hosting. Seems like she's very friendly and she knows how to be a good host, really. So yeah. The other thing that I would suggest is I would respond to all the reviews because it just looks really good. I think when people look for Airbnb places, they look at the pictures and they look at the reviews. And so there's space, in this review section where you can communicate things by responding to these reviews. So if you respond to the reviews and you just say like, hey, for example, this one, right? Gina, thank you so much for taking the time to leave a review. I'm stoked that you had a great stay, and I would be super happy if you come back in the future. It's just something simple like that. It just shows that you're appreciative, right? You're on top of things, and that just communicates a lot of good values about you as a host. And it doesn't take very much time, right? I mean, she has 7 reviews. She, responding to a review takes like a minute, and I think it's good to do. I know not everybody agrees with me. I've had people argue with me about that, but I think it's good. So yeah, I think that's kind of the bulk of the feedback that I have for Eileen. So in general, I think she seems to be a really good host, but I think she would be able to get a lot more bookings if she changes her pictures. She probably, I don't know if she had the professional Airbnb photographer come by. Probably not. I mean, these pictures, did they, to be quite honest, they just don't look very professional. I know the Airbnb photographer costs money these days, so I don't know if she wants to spend that money. But if not, I would get a good camera, make sure the lighting is good, and maybe just Google how to take great pictures. I mean, I don't know very much about photography, but I've learned a lot from just taking a free photography course on Udemy. It takes like an hour, and then you just kind of learn about like the angles and things, just kind of common things like that the subject of the picture should be clearly visible, and angles and all that kind of stuff. So I think if Eileen does that, then she could definitely get better results than she's getting now. All right, that was it for today. Sorry, I guess I kind of messed up in the beginning a bit, because I'm not quite familiar with this live streaming software that I'm using. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll do another one next week, 11 a.m. PST. So I hope to see you then.